está a fazer interferência aqui em baixo. Continua. Tens algum problema no ecrã do computador? Não. Já estás online? Onde é que está a interferência? Já não está. Estava aqui, sim. Se calhar foi quando mexeste aí.
As pessoas conseguem ver. Vocês normalmente eu apagar esta primeira fila para as pessoas verem esta primeira fila, linha de luz. Sim.
Continua, olha. Vê lá se no telemóvel.
Só se for o problema na câmera. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Good morning.
Yes.
So first I need to show the video. Inês, vocês me ajudarem aqui? Por um vídeo, eu estou descrevendo.
just running the video first. Okay. Let me share the screen. And then we can start. And then we can So we are here with Professor Sofia Castelo and we'll talk after you. Vou tentar início então. Vou pensar quando metes o ecrã inteiro aqui, o vídeo desaparece. É só assim. Queres o vídeo e a apresentação tudo ao mesmo tempo? Não, vamos passar primeiro o vídeo, depois é que passa. Então ela vai falar primeiro ou não? Não, primeiro passar o vídeo, depois vai falar para o professor, depois vai para a Sofia. É a Carolina que eu perguntei. Deixa eu só primeiro. Ok, a câmera está, transmissão. Deixa eu ver. Ok. Uma pessoa que fala forte. Acho que tem isso.
So, Dr. Ivan, a biophysicist, serves as a research professor and leads a multidisciplinary research team at the Institute for Multidisciplinary Research, University of Belgrade. His research primarily revolves around exploring the physiology and biotechnological potential of microalgae, driven by the aim to merge scientific excellence with practical applications and innovation. He has authored over 80 scientific papers and spearheaded various projects, notably the Liquid Tree project, focusing on the development of the urban photobioreactor.
Queres que eu próprio faça uma partida? Sim. Tens que. Não consegues meter este ecrã. Tenho que mostrar a pressão. Mas cá não tem câmera ligada? Não, só pressão. Já é isto. Este ecrã. Okay. Now I can start, Professor, if you want.
Okay, so how you will change, I will say to next slide please and you will change the slide, okay?
Okay, so open the presentation. Mas és tu que também vais depois fazer isso. É isso, partilha com ele. Desculpa, gravar isto. Mas então o que é que este irá me aparecer? É isso. Então vai estar na cara dele, depois calma.
Pode estar uma hora ou outra, acho eu. Carrega no botão do Microsoft e depois não deixa eles.
Qual deixa?
Carrega na.
Vai ser vídeo bacana.
Yeah.
Expliquei como é que. Calma, deixa eu fazer tudo ao mesmo tempo. Aqui. Sim, fixar. Não. Eu ouvi. Você fala o que você fala. Isso. Você fala o que você fala. Fica certo.
Okay, hi everyone, do you hear me well? Do you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Ivan Patrick, I lead a group of about 10 people doing mainly research in mythology. We are behind the project 3 that was developed at our institute between 2018 and 2021. We started with an idea in 2018 and finalized with the project in 2021. Liquid tree is an alternative concept of urban greening and it represents an urban photobioreactor. Next slide, please. It is based on mycology. Like plants, mycology perform photosynthesis. They remove carbon dioxide, produce oxygen, and capture carbon, producing biomass. Liquid tree was developed particularly for urban environments that cannot accommodate traditional green due to the lack of space, high value of land, excessive air pollution, underground installations. So anywhere in the town or in the city where you cannot put a tree or a wall, for some reason, for example, if you have a pedestrian area where no trees are allowed because you need a clear view of the street and there are a lot of users, you can place a liquid tree. Liquid tree is not meant to replace trees. It is basically meant to replace benches. So you will need some benches in such urban areas. Now you can have both a bench and a tree. What is important is that the system was developed through activities of multidisciplinary team made of 2 biologists and 1 architect. I work at the Institute of Multidisciplinary Research and we have people from 10 different faculties. And we are lucky to have architects as well. So we had a chance to collaborate with an architect and to use this biological system to integrate it into something that can be placed into the urban space. The liquid tree is a tree according to the carbon capture rate. It's also a bench, it's a solar vehicle charger, it's a night light, all in one. Additional functions can be added, functions that are needed for smart city concept or something similar. The foot of the system is 2 square meters and you can install this within 1 day. So you can have something that is all this and according to carbon capture rate is equivalent to an adult tree within 1 day. Next slide, please. It is worth mentioning that in the meanwhile, just 1 month ago, we installed 2 more units, one in Belgrade also, and the other is in Western Serbia in a city called Užice. These were donation of a regional bank to municipalities that have a high level of air pollution, and the concept also that the result that one is operational, so now we have 3 installments. Next slide, please. So UNDP in Serbia, so it's a UN development program in Serbia. It's an office of the United Nations that supports relevant social issues such as environmental protection, human rights, and similar. And they made a challenge, project called that was entitled Climate Smart Urban Development. The idea was to target air pollution in urban areas. And there were about 130 proposals, 11 projects were approved for financing, and our project got the award of the best innovation. What is the problem with urban environments? Cities are the main emitters of carbon dioxide. About 70% of global CO2 are emitted from the cities. And also, they are the main emitters of PM particles as well. You can see here a map that was built by NASA, and it shows carbon emission throughout the US. And you can see all these intensively red areas. These are urban areas and main traffic routes, of course. High levels of carbon dioxide and PM particles affect the majority of residents of cities, and basically this affects the sustainability of urban living. Cities and living in urban areas are the best place to live. You know that because you use opportunities like education, commercial opportunities, social opportunities, and cities are the crown of our civilization. However, they are becoming unsustainable. A lot of people are going from the cities into the country because they don't like for their health to be affected by air pollution and other ways of pollution. And this escapism is okay for a limited number of people. So if some people go to the country, it's okay because they choose healthy life and maybe they denounce opportunities that city make available. However, if the majority of us leave the cities, then it will not be good. So the idea is being here now to work on air quality and decreasing other types of pollution in urban areas in order basically to save the city. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, about 80% of people living in cities are affected by poor air quality. From all the people that live in our planet, about 500 million live in large cities, and 1 billion people live in areas that have arid or desert climate. That is another issue that we can basically tackle. Is the new ways of greening are needed for those areas because it is very hard and expensive to maintain a tree or a lawn in cities like Dubai or Riyadh or other cities with desert climate. So alternative concepts are needed. Air pollution affects a lot of people, and what is the main impact is poor air quality, poor life quality, and also it affects our health. Particularly dangerous are PM particles. They contain heavy metals, and they basically affect our lungs and may lead to development of serious health issues. Pollution in urban centers, like city centers, it cannot be mitigated by building large parks in other areas. Of course, large parks on the peripheral parts of the city are good for having a nice weekend there or some sport activities, but basically you cannot prevent using these large parks from people being affected by PM particles in the city center where traffic is intensive and the pollution is intensive. Even distribution of greening throughout the city is basically essential for economic prosperity and social sustainability and justice in urban areas. So it's important to have at least some small green areas within the city. Of course, this is achieved by having these micro green areas, small parks, which are also important for wildlife that live in the cities. But in some areas, alternative concepts are needed. For example, within this concept, within this alternative concepts are also green roofs, green walls, there are also green islands. And liquid is part of this basically new approach to urban living. These alternative concepts have to be efficient, they have to be also robust because city life is not very simple. They have to be safe and they have also to be well designed in order to fit the urban space and to be accepted by the users. This is something that you learn throughout the process. Basically, public acceptance is essential. Function is very important. Without function, you don't have anything. But the most important thing is to be accepted by the public. This is important because your installation, if accepted, will basically use people to care for it. They will not benefit, and also it will induce people to think about these alternative concepts and to think in that alternative direction. Liquid is compatible with the urban space because of its safe construction, contemporary design, and multifunctionality. Throughout the development of this concept, we have to resolve three main aspects. So one was biological, the second was constructive, and the third was the design. So next slide. So regarding the biological, we chose to use microalgae and to put them and to make the system around these organisms. They are good because they are very resistant to high level of air pollution. They are very efficient in carbon fixation. They are 10 to 50 times more efficient than terrestrial plants. And they can also, when you finish the cycle, because the system requires, of course, maintenance, you can use the biomass as a biofertilizer. So they have all these positive aspects that speak in favor of their use. We have to find the right strain to do this, and there were several parameters that the strain should fit. So one was, of course, efficiency. The second is robustness, that it can live in tap water, that it has a nice color, of course, no odor, and that it's easy to maintain it. Next slide, please. Regarding the technical aspect, so we use the technology of photobioreactor. It's not something brand new. Photobioreactors are available. They are used for commercial production of microalgae. Microalgae are used to produce omega-3 fatty acids, pigments, and some other products. However, these commercially available photobioreactors are not compatible with urban environment. They are fragile, they're expensive, they're hard to maintain, and they do not present the aesthetic that is needed. So we combine two types of photobioreactors, air-lift and flat panel photobioreactors, to make basically a combination of these, and we increase the safety by using very thick glass, and we also made the system very simple and accessible for the maintenance. Of course, air is imported into the system from the bottom. These air bubbles are also used to mix the microalgal culture. The system contains 600 liters of microalgal culture. Next slide, please. So according to carbon fixation rate, liquid PSCT is equivalent to 1 or 200 square meters of lawn, and biomass can be used as a biofertilizer, as I mentioned. Next slide. So in addition to this, we analyzed the efficiency of removal of PM particles. We didn't measure the PM particles that we plan to do, and this requires very special equipment. We measured the amount of heavy metals that are trapped within the microalgae. The microalgae, basically, they usually lack metals. They are usually exposed to iron deficiency. So they develop different mechanisms to collect metals, and these mechanisms are not very exclusive for iron. So they accumulate different types of metals. And we analyzed how much of these metals are trapped within biomass in 1 month. We measured aluminum, cadmium, chrome, lead, strontium, vanadium, all these metals are very bad for our health, and they are present in beer particles, and these quantities were extrapolated to the most polluted air that I could find in the literature, and basically we found that our system cleans from these metal pollutants between 300 and 3,000 cubic meters of air per month. So it depends on the metal, of course, the affinities are not all the same, but the system also removes PM particles and these more dangerous components of them heavy metals. So next slide. So we started with different about 10 different strains, and we looked for strains that fit all these needs. In addition to parameters that I already mentioned, we wanted to use and use a strain that can live in very large range of temperatures between 5 and 45, in large range of light intensities, and also we use a cosmopolitan strain. So a strain that lives all over the world, so that there are no biohazard issues. Next slide, please. So regarding the technical aspects, in addition to using this combination of two types of water bioreactor, we made a construction that contains a bench and solar USB charger, and all this requires studies of statics and design, of course, of the construction. So the construction, the idea was to have a simple construction that is not very hard to build, but still that has an appealing look and good design, and it is very easy to maintain. So this is the key for everything innovative. Is basically you might make something very new and something that has a very valuable function. But if it's not easy to maintain, then you basically decrease the viability of the product. We use only green materials, so steel and glass, and the whole system can be recycled. Next slide, please. One important issue for Serbia, maybe not for Portugal, is that during the winter we have sub-zero temperatures. So we have two options. One option is to empty the system in the winter because we have to prevent the freezing. Microalgae would not survive, and of course we might damage the glass. And the other option was to install some micro heaters. So we opted for the second option, and use micro heaters only not to heat microalgae. So these are fine between 5 and 45, but we just have to prevent the freezing. We chose this because in the winter there is basically complete lack of greenery in the city center. Pines and other conifers do not sustain very well the suffer in pollution. They are not used for greening the city center, and there is nothing green basically except for the liquid sea, the integrated center. Next slide, please. So the design of the bench and the system was guided by the principles of design of urban areas that should be equitable, attractive, and sustainable. The design of components of urban spaces such as street furniture should not be overemphasized. It has to be dynamic, it has to be interesting. The interactions of people with the design is very important. So in addition to this utilitarian function of liquid sea that it represents a bench and air purifier and all these different functions, it has to promote specific values, and we believe that this system promotes the values of environmental protection, sustainability, high quality of urban life, and fight against climate change on daily basis. The development of design took into account the place of benches and nighttime urban communities. So benches have this romantic vibe that was generated in the literature in cinematography, and the design is meant to be inviting, to provide physical, social, and psychological comfort. The systems are usually installed so your back are protected from the traffic. So you are turned towards pedestrians and away from cars and from trucks. And the comforting effect is generated by the green color of microalgae. So this green color basically is some hard in our brains, and it means green is smooth, so everyone likes this green color. And red light is positioned above the green microagriculture to use relaxation and feel safe. So what we think we need is a shelter for a pedestrian to have a break and to be protected from the street side. Next slide, please. What we also noted is a little bit remote communication, particularly covert communication. So how this is achieved, it is something also that is new in the street and something that you can also be familiar with because it's some way of greenery. And it attracts the attention of children that we noted and of young people, and basically people that are interested in some innovations or maybe something new. So when you see a person that is also has its attention and capability, you can basically be sure that you might share some common interests and common values, and this can be a good start for communication. So we see at points that was installed, it represents a micro hotspot of urban life. Next slide, please. So completely spontaneously, we didn't do anything regarding promoting this system. We just responded to invitations such as yours, invitation as well. It induced a lot of interest in public, in media, in social media as well. And we got a lot of TV reports, newspaper articles, a lot of, we believe it's about every third American saw it somewhere. So we were in Fox News, in music, in different media. And I think that this is the main positive impact of this story. Basically, we induced an increase in awareness about air pollution in urban cities, and we promoted the debate about how this should be tackled. And this public interest led to an interest in industry and commercialism. So next slide, please. So we have been so far contacted by about over 400 now entrepreneurs and companies, and we made a lot of interviews, and companies came with different propositions. Majority of them would like to be to sell these or to purchase for their companies or to collaborate or to license or to invest. And the majority of features come from Europe, particularly some features come from Middle East because of the problem that I underlined already. From Brazil, for example, we have a number of companies from Brazil interested in this. And this is some good start to tell further steps into developing further this system and also to have a commercial conclusion of this project. So next slide, please. So we are currently working our way to establishing a spin-out company. This is sorry, I work at the University of Belgrade. My main activity is science, and I work with students. I currently have 2 PhD students, and this is something basically new for us. So we take step by step this development of spin-out company. We joined a World Bank program in Serbia. It's called SAGE. It's a program that supports Serbian academia to go. Of course, it is completely an option. Who wants to go in that direction? It's open to those scientists. And to go more into a commercial direction. And we basically follow their program, and we get support from them. For example, we are just waiting for market analysis, variety assessments, we will get PR strategy, some financial support to get additional certificates, analysis, and so on. So what is important that this concept of ours is not completely new. It is something that people proposed previously. So there are different projects that wanted to use microalgae in fighting against air pollution in urban space. However, the majority of these projects did not realize, they did not came to the level of prototype. They are build like a very large column of water, then you need a very thick glass. So some of these are not realistic at all. There are also projects that are planned to be made. The idea is to put microalgae in green, basically green, using them as green areas on facades in the form of water bioreactors that are placed in front of the windows. And some of these I think are under development, but I don't see any in reality. There were also some ideas in Serbia to use this VPC idea to make buildings greener, but again the problem is with the maintenance. These are two projects that I could find on the internet that use microalgae in greening the facades. The question is, why very few projects were finalized? So we have VPC that has a prototype and 2 more units, and we will see how it will go on. And there are a couple of these projects that were finalized among a lot of different ideas. I think that the key is the maintenance. So biological systems, microalgae, they require maintenance. You have to remove water once a month. You have to give them some additional medium microelements like calcium, iron, calcium, magnesium, and different microelements. And you have to fight against high temperatures, low temperatures, and there is also this issue of hydrostatic pressure when you use a lot of water. So the key is to have something that is easy to maintain. The VPC belongs to this new field of alternative greening solutions, and I think it will thrive, particularly when I see the interest that we got. Some other systems that are also available are biofuel reactors. So basically you grow microalgae, the top use microalgae, but biofuel reactors use grow microalgae within film that you can replace. This is something completely new and currently I think developed in a couple of labs. It is I think fully protected. I mean it's a patent, it's not something available to the public, and there are also other different types of systems that you can grow microalgae in, like raised bed farms. So what is important for innovations from our point is multidisciplinarity. So you need people from different areas, and you have to learn how to talk with them. For example, when we started collaborating with the designer, with an architect, it was very hard to understand from our side how we should compromise part of the function in order to get the design. And from their point, from her point, sorry, it's one number. They wanted to have even more complex design, and then we have to explain how it's important to have the maintenance. So you need to compromise, and you need to learn to speak to people in different fields. The other important thing is outsourcing. So don't start from zero. We are building this to a support of 2 companies. One that is making steel construction, and the other is making glass construction. So initially we thought we can build all of this, we have engineers as well at our institute, but that would not be a smart decision because there is a lot of know-how how to build these systems, and it's very it's much more safe to go to outsourcing. So the third important thing when you have innovation is to have a good design and to reach the public acceptance, otherwise it not will reach. The fourth thing is always think about the maintenance, and the fifth thing is have a supervision of having particular details. So, for example, we made the first unit, and when we were building the next 2 units, our subcontractors came with solutions that they thought are better and even more or higher quality, more expensive, but these all complicated the finalization of the product. So you have to supervise every step all the way. So that's essential. So thank you for your attention, and please, if you have any questions, go ahead.
So does anyone have a question?
Yeah, thank you very much for this nice presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So very nice project. I like it, the concept. very interesting to know another possibility to fight against the pollution in these urban cities. But I would like to know if there are another places different to Serbian install this kind of systems.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Could you repeat it?
If you already have in other places different to Serbian this kind of systems.
No. We only installed 3 systems. We have a lot of interest, and that's probably the next step. So they start somewhere else, probably in the region or maybe in the Middle East.
Yeah, okay. And concerning the acceptance for the public, how do you do that people know what is this? There is like for example, like a flyer with information about these liquid trees. What are they? That the people know what is this?
So we have a website, and we put a foil on the glass with some basic information, but basically the interest was completely spontaneous. What we did have immediately is the UNDP, so the program that supported us, they made a video for their use, and that was the beginning.
Okay. And you were explaining that during the winter season, for example, you install these micro heaters to maintain the temperature. But what about the light? Because I think this micro RT needs also light to grow, right?
Yes, but during the winter, the same use is fine with different light intensity. So with the low light intensity, they will survive. But we also have two LED lamps for night light, so they also provide light for my cars.
Okay, good. Good. And you were talking about that these microalgae are able to accumulate heavy metals, right?
Yes.
But if you want to use this biomass for fertilization, how will be this biomass treated? Because you are applying also heavy metals.
This is a common question. It's a good question. So the concept is the level of heavy metals that are present in the air. They are bad for our health, and it might be very high. But compared to soil, it's like 3 orders of magnitude less. So, for example, if you have 1 microgram of cadmium in the air, it's a problem. But in the soil, you might have 1 milligram of cadmium without any issue. It's like a normal concentration of an element. So you don't add significant amount of heavy metals to the soil. It's a different level of concentration.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any more questions? Okay, so now we have the presentation of Sofia Castelo.
Thank you, Professor. Now, if you want to assist the presentation of Sophia, I send you the link because this is going to finish in 5 minutes. So if you want to assist, you enter the new link, and you can assist.
Okay. I don't have other obligations, but thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye. Sofia, vai projetar no seu computador? Vai projetar do computador ou nós projetamos?
Então eu vou para aí para esse computador.
Vai mandar uma imagem.
Sim. Então eu não mandei a apresentação ontem.
Sim, ele vai entrar agora no link, não é? Ele vai assistir pela transmissão.
Vai.
Fiquei com a ideia que ele diz que ia das aplicações. Pois eu acho que ele disse-me qualquer coisa.
É isso.
Isso é que eu não percebi, não é engraçado. Pois. Ou só volta depois a seguir?
É só a apresentação, não. Tinha mandado uma foto para o meu
Mas não é
e-mail.
preciso, se ele não está, a foto é só se ele não está desarrumado. Está bem? É uma especial. E quem é o professor?
Não sei se é o partido, se eles chamam. Não. É só aqui na seta. Só fazer uma pequena apresentação. Se o Castelo tem mais de 20 anos de experiência em design e gestão paisagísticos, design urbano e projetos ambientais em vários países do mundo, formou-se em arquitetura paisagística e tem pós-graduação em gestão de projetos e alterações climáticas e naturais para a adaptação e resiliência urbanas. O seu projeto Nature-Based Climate Adaptation Program for the Urban Areas of Penang Island, na Malásia, venceu o prémio do Climate Global Cities Awards 2020, tendo sido considerado o melhor projeto climático do ano. Mais recente, em 2022, o programa recebeu um prémio pela melhor gestão ambiental de um país do mundo islâmico. Passo então a palavra.
Obrigada. Eu vou falar em inglês, vocês importam-se? É que eu tenho tudo escrito em inglês. Estava aqui preparada para um papo, nice, mas pronto. So thank you very much for the invite. I would like to start by saying that I was not fully aware of the scope of this discussion. I was not aware that we were going to discuss this specific solution. And I must say that I can address it in a very simple way. If it's to discuss this solution in terms of carbon neutrality, it does not suffice. Its biggest benefit is to absorb heavy metals. It's not absorption of, it's not carbon sequestration. It has the equivalent of carbon sequestration of one tree. Urban trees have very low impact in terms of carbon sequestration. Its main role in terms of mitigation is by reducing air conditioning consumption, as I will show later on. So my presentation is more about, it's a bit of an overkill. I'm so sorry. So I'll start with some critical observations, then I'll talk about the main crisis we are facing currently. And then I'll talk about the role of nature in terms of mitigation, adaptation, and in terms of concept and relation to humans before concluding. So we all know that carbon neutrality is no longer enough. This has been established for some time now. So basically carbon neutrality is trying to remove carbon from the atmosphere as much as we are pumping, right? We know we need to become net negative. We need to absorb more carbon than exists. So this is a main consideration in this discussion that we need to address to frame the problem. And then the concept of nature-based solutions is a concept I use very frequently. My program in Penang is titled the Nature-Based Climate Adaptation Program, but it's an expression which was designed to be marketable to our current society. You know, we're talking about solutions, we're talking about something that can address the needs of the market. It was first mentioned by the World Bank in 2008. So what I would be talking here, because you're all university students or professionals, so we'll be talking about nature directly. This brief analysis of what's happening in the world currently is to understand what the challenges we are facing are. Because we cannot talk about carbon neutrality or net negative without understanding which specific challenges we have. So there's this review of the limits of growth, which I'm sure you've all heard of. A recent review by the MIT, it was a research conducted in the MIT, that concluded that the social collapse mentioned in the limits of growth has a high probability of occurrence before 2040. Another more recent research found that 6 out of the 9 planetary boundaries have already been exceeded. And from the IPCC in 2023, early this year, they've announced that the 1.5 increase related to pre-industrial levels will be exceeded within the next decade. Next decade. I mean, we're in February 2024, right? This was written 1 year ago, and apparently we have already reached 1.5 last year. It's apparently theoretically it's 1.48, but there are some studies with sponges that say that we've already reached 1.5. So we see this acceleration all the time. Every year, the acceleration increases. This is a very concerning paper that states that the long-term increase of 7 degrees Celsius may have already been guaranteed. This is due to feedback loops of the systems. And finally, related to the biodiversity crisis, which is much less emphasized than the climate crisis, it is so severe that a very strong relevant paper published last year designated it as a mutilation of the tree of life. So we can see that we're already in a tremendous crisis. So we need to act in a very strong manner. We need to address the crisis we face. This is one of the scariest things I've seen in my life. And in purple, you can see the estimated areas that will lose human habitat increase of temperatures. This starts in 1.5 degrees Celsius and goes up to 4.4 degrees Celsius. So you can see the amount of land in the world that will be inhabitable. And actually in 1.5 is already quite extensive. This is the methodology uses different components. It uses something called the wet bulb, but not only. I'll talk about this very soon. So regarding the role of nature and what I'm going to talk about addressing this crisis, we'll talk about the importance of nature in terms of mitigation, removing or avoiding greenhouse gases going into the atmosphere, adaptation, so basically reduce ongoing and future climate impacts, and the role of nature in terms of concept and in relation to humans. As the theme is very, very vast, I'll limit myself to one ecosystem and to one typology of urban green space. In terms of ecosystem, I'll talk about mangrove forests. About the typology of urban green spaces, I'll talk about urban trees. So in terms of mangrove forests, they're the second highest, they have the second highest density of irrecoverable carbon. This paper came out in 2020, and it states that protecting areas, natural areas that have irrecoverable carbon should be priority action for this decade. So what they say is, if we destroy these mangrove forests and the peat areas, there is no possible way to contain irrecoverable carbon. So what I'm saying here is that we need to act at multiple levels, but one of them is definitely protecting existing nature and understanding priority ecosystems. Here we can also see, this is a quite interesting map, because there's a correlation between high biodiversity and high concentration of carbon stock. And it's quite funny to see people mention this as, oh, what a coincidence. I mean, carbon is nature, right? Carbon is nature stored on the ground and pressured and submitted to pressures and the effect of time. So obviously, when we talk about carbon, we're talking about nature in a different form. This is what I wanted to show Professor Ivan, which is that this is the map, the New York City tree map, and you can see here that the energy conserved each year is in the amount of $100 million. And in this case, you don't even have the carbon dioxide removed by the trees, because they removed it. And this is why I sent that image, because that was a previous image before they had the component of carbon removal. But it's so small compared to the benefits of energy conserved that they removed it. And now talking about, so we've talked about mitigation, mangroves and urban trees, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about adaptation. So I'm going to introduce you to two concepts that are essential for this discussion. The first is the wet bulb threshold. So this is a combination of temperature and relative humidity that, if crossed, the human body cannot cope with. We are mammals, and as mammals, we self-regulate our temperature, and for that we use osmosis to transpire. If the relative humidity is very high, the combination of both things is very high, our body cannot by osmosis release water, and we die, because the temperature, we cannot reduce the temperatures, and with very high temperatures, proteins start to denaturate. So you can see here, I work in Malaysia, as you kindly introduced me. In Malaysia has a relative humidity of approximately 80%. So with 80%, you reach the dead zone with 36 degrees Celsius. The average temperature in Malaysia is 31 degrees, but there was a heat wave early last year that was very scary, and there were moments where the wet bulb threshold was reached. The second concept is the urban heat island effect, which is, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but urban areas absorb radiation and store it, and so they have a temperature between 2 and 8 degrees above surrounding natural or rural areas. And this is why natural systems have much more benefit, much more effective impacts than any other solutions. As they can cool cities, they can completely nullify the urban heat island effect by shading, through evapotranspiration, and by enhancing wind flows, which also are the most effective strategy to remove air pollution. And we can see here, trees can make or break city weather. So this is a huge concern. What I'm saying here is that there's a substantial area around the globe where urban living has become, and will become, life-threatening because of temperatures, and that solution cannot solve that problem. The solution of I'll cool it, it's pretty cool. Disclaimer, I love technology. It's also nature-based solutions because it has algae. Just a heads up on that. But it cannot solve the biggest problems we have in our cities. Here we can see, this is something I just use for people who are not experts. One mature tree can produce the same cooling effect as 10 room-sized air conditioners. It's always good to give some metrics so people understand the impacts of green spaces. And this is one area in my project in Georgetown. This is remote sensing data on surface temperatures, Landsat 8. And you can see the surface temperatures. You can see the linear patterns here. Can you identify those linear patterns? Those are tree-lined streets. Because you can completely see the areas that are cooler because they have a linear pattern. And then we have a gadget, again, I really like tech, to detect remote sensing temperatures at ground level. And this is a cool part of the city, okay? So you see that the interruption of the shade of the canopy corresponds to an immediate increase of temperature. But that's not the biggest, the most important information here. So in the highest temperature here is 40.1 degrees Celsius, and it's the roof of that building. So 1 hour later, we went to the hottest area in the city. And the maximum temperature has increased by almost 30 degrees, and it's at ground level. So you see the danger this is for pedestrians. I've lived here. It's a nightmare. You cannot walk in the streets for more than 10 minutes. It's incredibly stressful. So now, finally, go to the importance of nature in terms of concept and in relation to humans. So the concept of nature is an exclusionary concept. So you can see here in this definition that it's the phenomena of basically everything as opposed to humans or human creations. The way I was taught at university was that it was about the processes, all processes that self-regulated, including humans, including the presence of humans or not, but never caused by the presence of humans. So again, exclusionary. It's everything in the world except us. What we see in the discussions in environmental philosophy is that they're saying that because climate change is a symptom, it's not the main problem. The main problem is that we as a civilization or as a species have disconnected ourselves from nature. And because we are disconnected from nature, we see it as a product, and we consume it without regard for its inner value. There's a lot written about this, and I think it's very relevant that it is very relevant that we cannot solve this crisis just using technology, because of course the planet is manageable by technology. The planet is the most complex systems of all complex systems because it contains them all. And if we continue to think that we can live inside a machine or use or replace natural systems that have a tremendous complexity by technology, we won't really overcome this crisis. This is very interesting. This is one of the first papers written about the importance of nature. It was written it was published in 1984, and it was about the importance of view to nature in post-operative recovery in hospitals. So what they found was that if a post-operative patient has a view to nature in its hospital window, he requires less painkillers and he recovers faster. So he spends less nights at hospital. So the interesting thing about this is that the way this paper was used, which I find so ironic, was that hospitals started increasing the views, naturalizing. This is why hospital grounds have so much green space, because they want patients to get out of the hospital faster because of costs. So instead of thinking, what is this bizarre thing that makes humans better physically by looking at nature, instead of thinking about this, let's optimize our hospital costs. So the main thing is that we depend on nature for much more than survival. We're dependent for connection, spiritual connection, aesthetic needs, social cohesion, and we are part of nature. We depend on it because we are part of it. So finally, to conclude, I'll conclude with three key points and one concern. First, our current crisis results from a disconnect from nature, and we need to reconnect. Or there are many philosophers. If you listen to TED Talks, there are many people saying we need to get a new story. We need to find a new story that reconnects us with nature. That's very common now, and definitely it is true. The second is that technology is crucial as a tool, but it cannot replace nature in any way. You've seen me use remote sensing, you've seen me use gadgets to detect surface temperature. That's the role of technology. I like the solution with the algae. I think it could be interesting, but we should test it in a different place, not in urban settings. It has, I can prepare a sheet where I prove to you that it has less benefits, quantifiable benefits than one tree. The third key point is that our life supporting systems must be strengthened to build resilience. We are in a very critical situation, and life supporting systems must be our priority. That doesn't mean that, oh, we must abandon technology. No, technology has its role, but we need to prioritize our life supporting systems. Finally, one concern: relying too much on technology exposes us to additional risk. And I'm going to explain it in a very simple way. Whenever you have a heat wave, this happens a lot in California. Whenever you have a heat wave, people use more energy because they turn on their air conditioning, right? So this pressures the power grid and can very often leads to power outages. So this is the image on the left. So a Phoenix power outage, a heat wave could possibly kill thousands. On the right, you have the canopy, an overview of the canopy of street trees of the city of Curitiba in Brazil. This solution is resilient because this solution is not I would say all over the world, right? But in countries in the global south, you cannot fully rely on aircon when you're so near the wet wall. So this is a picture of this gentleman. I lived in the house that on the right that has the trees, the plants. This gentleman walks around every day, cycles around gathering waste, recyclable items, and that's how he makes a living. He's always very heat stressed. I don't know why he's always without a shirt, because for me that's a major exposure. But that's how he walks. He cycles around. The vulnerable communities all over the world are billions of people. Like there are billions of people like this gentleman. This gentleman does not have aircon at his place. He does not have aircon at his job. He does not have aircon at his mode of transportation. So we need to protect people that live like this gentleman and not create systems that depend on heavy industrialized systems. Just to conclude about this illusion in which we live in, I've been exchanging some emails with Peter Singer, the Australian moral philosopher, about this human climate niche. And he told me, Sophia, this is not a big problem because people can live in air-conditioned spaces. And we're talking about, and it was not only him, I'm just mentioning him because he's one of the most famous. So we're talking about a highly intelligent person that still lives in this bubble that believe that technology will solve our problems and that everyone can live like this. Like the majority of the world doesn't have conditions that we have in the global north. And it's very revealing that people can say this. And this is the concern I have. So thank you very much. It was a bit of an overkill, but thank you for listening.
Obrigada, Sofia. Para esclarecer que inicialmente nós tínhamos pensado em fazer a Tech Solutions Against Nature-Based Solutions, depois como nós já tínhamos convidado o professor Ivan, decidimos juntar estas duas partes, ou seja, uma solução tecnológica que também é uma solução baseada na natureza, e depois a Sofia vir-nos aqui também dar assim mais insights sobre esta evolução. Pode ficar. Mas muito obrigada, Sofia. Não sei se alguém tem alguma questão para colocar.
Muito obrigada por esta apresentação, que eu adorei.
Obrigada.
E uma das questões que eu coloco é como é que esta mensagem passa para quem decide, para quem constrói, para quem manda construir. E aquilo que se vê, mesmo em Portugal, que até tem uma situação razoável, penso eu, enfim, certas em Lisboa, etc., é que a tendência é para destruir árvores grandes, eventualmente construir, substituir por umas pequeninas que vão demorar imenso tempo. Eu estou-me a lembrar, por exemplo, em Coimbra, para construírem um metro de superfície, ou um comboio, pronto, houve uma destruição bastante grande de árvores grandes, que são espetaculares para fazer sombra e que se sente este benefício bastante grande das árvores. E de facto esta questão, que há a tendência de facto para destruir as árvores das cidades, principalmente.
Posso só pôr aquela imagem que mostrei? Eu sou arquiteta paisagista de formação, portanto, há muitos anos que me deparo com esse problema.
Vou descarregá-la e quero apresentar o livro.
Quero mostrar o livro.
É que apesar de todas as informações, todas as coisas, pronto, continua, e eu penso que até há uma tendência para aumentar essa destruição das árvores, quando neste momento não.
Eu já não trabalho em Portugal há muitos anos, por isso não sei exatamente. Eu estive há pouco tempo, o ano passado, em junho, num encontro de Nature-Based Solutions, porque a União Europeia posicionou-se claramente como líder internacional das Nature-Based Solutions. Não é? Portanto, há múltiplas instituições a produzir conteúdo científico para dar a autarquias, porque a adaptação na Europa não tem nada a ver com a adaptação no sul global. E, portanto, eu conheço algumas pessoas da arquitetura paisagista da Câmara de Cascais, da Câmara de Lisboa, e são boas pessoas, não é? São competentes e sabem o que é que eu vou falar. A minha proposta para isso era simples. Nós temos aqui uma árvore, isto é uma ginkgo biloba, é uma ginkgo biloba, isto é este mapa que as câmaras estão todas a fazer isto. Esta árvore está aqui. Temos aqui os benefícios desta árvore por ano. Stormwater intercepted, energy conserved, air pollutants. Isto transferido em dinheiro dá 212 euros. Multiplicar por 30 anos. Qualquer pessoa que corta tem que pagar este valor multiplicado por 30 anos. Para mim era simples, era criar uma lei assim. Porque isso são benefícios da cidade. E a própria cidade teria que pagar também. Se a cidade decidir cortar uma árvore, também tem que pagar.
Dá-me a ideia que as próprias construção pública, as obras públicas, envolvem depois uns projetos que conduzem ao abate de árvores. É uma coisa que é impensável, acho eu.
É verdade.
Mas que a mensagem demora a chegar, pelo visto da...
Por exemplo, eu não acho que a mensagem demora a chegar. O que eu acho é que há outros interesses. E as pessoas... Acho que há outros interesses. Por exemplo, esta árvore, eu calculei agora, esta árvore, vamos imaginar, o tempo de vida desta árvore seria 30 anos, cortá-la, a pessoa teria que pagar, quem a cortasse, mesmo que fosse a Câmara, teria que pagar 6.360 euros. Pronto, isto era um longo caminho andado para reduzir o corte das árvores.
Quando não houver vontade política,
a vontade política também é uma questão de nós na Malásia fala-se muito, na Malásia e nas reuniões todas internacionais, no caso das alterações climáticas, fala-se, o que é que nós podemos fazer individualmente para mudar a situação? A melhor coisa que podemos fazer, a história da carbon footprint é de uma enorme limitação. A crise climática é transnacional, não pode ser resolvida por indivíduos e o maior poder que nós temos é influenciar os policymakers. Quer seja votando, quer sendo fazendo manifestações, é muito mais importante fazer isso do que reduzir o consumo de carne, sendo que reduzir o consumo de carne é importante, mas é preciso entender as prioridades e é preciso entender o problema. E, aliás, a carbon footprint foi um conceito inventado pela BP, não é? Que é para as pessoas começarem a culpar elas próprias, já têm que discutir e apontar os dedos uns aos outros, não é? Isto é um problema que exige maturidade. E não estamos a ver muita maturidade global, maturidade e capacidade de honestidade, olhar para o problema real que temos à frente.
Acho que se ninguém depois tiver nada a acrescentar, mas para se encerrar, obrigada, Silvia.
Pode ser, só para tirar uma foto de nós não somos feitos, mas. Não, eu consigo, eu consigo. Alguém me chama pode não ser consigo. Fiquei a fazer tempo sozinho e tudo. Não tenho aqui câmera, mas só os outros. Só quero ir lá fora na lona. Não podes tirar. Deixa eu só falar uma foto da festa. Nada, foi eu prazer. Olá, sim. Tudo bem? Ok. Sim, podemos estar aqui. Sim. Agora vamos. Posso ela deixar assim as coisas? As coisas não são. Eu acho que agora temos o coffee break, não sei se querem. Estamos todos a esperar um bocado pelo vlog, portanto.